Donald Trump has become the third U.S. president in history to be impeached by the House of Representatives, setting up a trial in the Senate which will decide whether he remains in office. The House voted on two charges: that the president abused his power and that he had obstructed Congress. Nearly all Democrats voted for the charges and every Republican against. President Trump's Republicans control the Senate, so it's highly unlikely that he will be removed from power. As voting took place in the House, Mr. Trump was addressing a campaign rally in Battle Creek, Michigan. Before getting into the fine detail of this development, here's the recap of key timelines on the story so far. So it all started in April and May. Through his personal emissary, Rudy Giuliani, Trump applied pressure on Ukraine to announce investigations tied to American politics. Immediately after Volodymyr Zelensky's 21st April election as president of Ukraine, Giuliani contacts a Zelensky aide and introduces himself as an advisor to the vice president. The Ukrainian president-elect Volodymyr Zelensky meets with subordinates on 7th of May to discuss how to avoid being dragged into U.S. politics. And then on the 23rd of May, in a White House meeting, Trump is unmoved by the enthusiasm of a delegation of officials freshly returned from Zelensky's inauguration in Kiev. He just kept saying, "Talk to Rudy, talk to Rudy." The EU ambassador Gordon Sondland testified, "I don't know what he meant." He kept repeating it though. "They tried to take me down. They tried to take me down." On September 24th, Nancy Pelosi accuses Trump of betrayal as she announces impeachment inquiry. A video from Pelosi announces a formal impeachment inquiry accusing Trump of a betrayal of his oath of office, a betrayal of their national security, and a betrayal of the integrity of the election.
Have seriously violated the Constitution, especially when the president says, Article 2 says I can do whatever I want. For the past several months, we have been investigating in our committees and litigating in the courts, so the House can gather all the relevant facts and consider whether to exercise its full Article 1 powers, including a constitutional power of the utmost gravity, approval of articles of impeachment. And this week, the president has admitted to asking the president of Ukraine to take actions which would benefit him politically. The actions of the Trump presidency revealed the dishonorable fact of the president's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections. Therefore, today, I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. I'm directing our 6 committees to proceed with their investigations under that umbrella of impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
September 25th, the White House releases a partial transcript of the 25th July call, hours before Trump's first face-to-face meeting with Zelensky at the United Nations. Then on 26th September, the whistleblower complaint was released, citing more than half a dozen U.S. officials. It presents an accurate version of the Trump-Zelensky call and alleges that the White House tried to cover up the call. But Donald Trump has been reacting to the development in the last 24 hours.
The Republican Party has never been so affronted, but they've never been so united as they are right now, ever, never. And I know the senators, and they're great guys, and women too. We have some great women, we have great guys, they're great people. They love this country. They're gonna do the right thing. They're gonna do the right thing. So I said in my letter to Pelosi, I love that. You know, usually there's 1, 2. The Republicans, look, I've said it for a long time. The Democrats are lousy politicians. They really are. They've got horrible policies, open borders, crime is fine, drugs pouring through. I mean, think of what they do. Sanctuary cities, they love sanctuary cities, you know. They're lousy politicians, but they have one thing, 2 things. They're vicious. They're the most vicious people. The Republicans aren't as vicious. They may learn to be vicious after going through this stuff. But the other thing, the Democrats always stick together. Now think of it. 3 Democrats went over to our side, no Republicans. It's unheard of. And by the way, this is for 100 years. I'm not just talking about this little point in time. The Republicans are known as it's always harder to stick together. These people are great. We have a great Republican Party, and we have to get that change. We have to take back the House. You'll have the greatest health care ever if we take, and by the way, we had another victory. The individual mandate, just a little while ago, came over the wires. It was just upheld. The individual mandate is now gone, the most unpopular part of Obamacare. It was just upheld. So I said in my letter to Pelosi, by proceeding with your invalid impeachment, you're violating your oath of office. You're breaking your allegiance to the Constitution. You're declaring open war on American democracy. You dare to invoke the Founding Fathers in pursuit of this election nullification scheme, yet your spiteful actions display unfettered contempt for America's founding and your egregious conduct. And listen, though, it's so true. It threatens to destroy what our founders pledged, and in fact, their very lives.
Let's go on the phone lines and speak to Dr. Vladimir Enchidansu, who is an international relations expert, for more on this. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers and other listeners.
Thank you very much. So first, what's your reaction to this development? Was this impeachment to be expected?
Well, it was well expected since day one. You could see that the Democrats were bent on impeaching Trump, and there had not been any mitigating circumstances that would have changed the trend. So I was expecting it as a normal thing. But in the United States, this is about the 3rd president to be impeached. Historically, no president has been removed from office because the processes are on party lines. And I expect that to also happen this time. Hello? Hello? Strange.
Doc.
Yes.
Okay, so I was asking that, considering that the Republicans hold the majority in Senate and the Democrats are aware of this, what is the implication on the United States of America, especially because it is not likely that he will be actually impeached?
Yes, as I indicated earlier when I said that I went off, this is the 3rd time a president has been impeached. But historically, none of them had been removed from office. And I expect that to be the same, knowing very well that Senate is made up of more of the Republicans. And again, you would need to test majority over there to get the president from office. However, the processes would still go on. The articles of impeachment will be submitted to the Senate, and the Senate will have a trial. All these things have been said. But as I said, the trial will not reach anywhere. I mean, they wouldn't get a 2/3 vote. That would mean actually that not less than 20 Democrats would have to vote, 20 Republicans, would have to vote for the president to be removed from office. And that, I don't think, is going to happen.
Yes, so I was asking that based on these, your assertions, what then is the point of going through the process if the outcome is pretty much known?
Well, in democracy, the most important thing is to establish something. on paper, Trump has been impeached. It's like felony. It's like somebody who has committed something, the court has indicted the person, and the president gives a pardon. So on paper, he has been impeached for some offenses, especially the impeachment offenses being abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. These are very serious charges against the president. So on paper, it goes that President Trump, once upon a time, was impeached.
Are there any long-term implications on the U.S. and then Ghana?
Well, Ghana specifically, nothing changes. Nothing will change. The U.S. relationship with or any other country doesn't change because of impeachment. The only thing is that it must have affected the stock exchanges. It must have affected trade relations for a while, such as stock exchanges. But that will not affect anything. It doesn't change anything in the U.S. either. The politics would then sway maybe towards the Democrats or to the Republicans, depending on how the sticks go. So nothing changed specifically. The one man they wanted was Trump. It may bode well for them for the next year's election.
In your expert opinion, what do you think it is about President Trump that causes so much controversy and so much flurry of activity and constant comments about his behavior?
What I only suspect that Trump's own demeanor, his way of doing things. Many people think that most of the things he does would qualify for unpresidential attitude. You know, it's very, very unpresidential. He's temperamental, talks about almost everything, and says that about 12 of his close associates have been fired. And then lots of lies during his presidency. Things like that try to deter democracy. And I don't think that is for American democracy, which we all think is the pillar of democracy. So Trump has been hated specifically from the Democrat side and even from within his Republican Party because of his way of doing. Specifically, his arrogance and thinking that he's above the law.
How do we then explain the fact that his ratings in public opinion polls in terms of likability is actually higher than that of ex-President Obama?
Well, the main point is that in America, it depends on who you belong, one. Number two, it depends on how you feel within the economy. The person rascally or whatever it is, and if that helps your business, well, you like the person more than any other person who may come strictly not going by the normal things that will make you feel comfortable. We have it everywhere in the world. You may have a president who is a dictator, but within the dictatorship, life goes on better. When it comes to democracy, you see things hanging and not moving faster and whatnot. We all have nostalgic feelings for military rule in Ghana at times, don't? But those were the days when the military rulers rated high than the democratic president. So this kind of polls don't mean anything, seriously, but means something to the American mind where their interests lie, especially where the economy moves.
Is concerned. Right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Dr. Vladimir Nchidan. So we're very grateful for your time.